Jobena Petonoquot brings together community, art history, colonization, religion, and resilience, and carries family histories and holistic and relational knowledge from her Algonquin, Anishinābe, and Naskapi relations into her rigorous artistic practice. She presents the natural world as a place of healing. This is where she often situates herself, drawing upon her own and her family's knowledge and experience of living on the land. This opens up a space for the artist to reflect upon the impact that colonization has had on interactions with the land.
I perceive beadwork as a somewhat violent act as it relates to life. As the needle pierces the fabric, the act of beading establishes a dialogue that can be both very beautiful and very painful.
This work represents the relationship between Christianity and colonialism, as well as the snares used for subsistence living. Petonoquot's grandfather, who was of mixed Algonquin Anishinābe Irish identity, was born at the end of the Victorian era. He resisted his European background, instead using his knowledge of hunting, trapping, and living on the land to provide for his family, even though colonial powers forbade Indigenous self-sufficiency. Here, Petonoquot pays tribute to the rebellion of her ancestors like her grandfather. As she has herself stated, if he had not rebelled as he did, she would not be here today.
Petonoquot created these small, delicate moccasins as a commemorative action in early June 2021. The event that spurred her to make this work was the recovery of 215 children buried on the site of what was once Canada's largest Indigenous residential school, located on Kamloops-Shwapam territory in the southern interior of British Columbia. For Petonoquot, this work pays tribute to all the children who did not come home.
I'm inspired by the medicine found in nature. That is my church.
Although beading is often an art passed down by grannies or aunties, this was not the case for Petonoquot. Instead, at the age of 25, she taught herself the patterns and techniques and started to bead. The beads sewn into patterns are a way for her to stitch together family memories and stories that she has heard throughout her life and now holds within herself.
These Victorian christening dresses have been embellished with delicate and time-consuming beadwork. They show Petonoquot's relationship to Christianity, which has been misused as a tool of colonialism. The beaded baptismal gowns document, as do the accompanying photographs, Petonoquot's durational performance in which she buried them in the earth of her home community of Kittiganzibi. It was an act of mourning and healing without forgetting, and refers to the continuing impact of colonialism as well as the necessity of Indigenous healing.
This Victorian bonnet was dyed red to evoke the wrappings of wounds. The soil in the tea bag was collected from Kittiganzibi, and in some ways it is a commentary by the artist on inequities between the church and Indigenous peoples on reserve lands. The floral and plant motifs on these moccasins are a tribute to Petonoquot's grandfather and his knowledge of the land. As footwear, moccasins symbolize a connection with the earth. The floral beadwork and the sunset colors reinforce the cyclical patterns of the natural world, including moccasins that push fallen branches back into the earth to nourish the soil. The making of moccasins is a way of sharing history, and, through her art practice, Petonoquot can embody her ancestries and express her Algonquin, Anishinābe, and Naskapi identity. Petonoquot created this series after visiting one of Montreal's many souvenir shops. The scalloped edges are based on customary birchbark etching, while the oval format is Victorian. Hybridized decoration was popular in 18th and 19th century Victorian tourist markets, and souvenir consumption endures as a site of negotiation for Indigenous identity.
The four bonnets reflect the colors of the four directions, as well as the cycle of life within the natural world. The animals and plants are represented in finely stitched beadwork. Each image was noted and reflected upon by the artist as she walked on her home territory. The cycle of life continues as Petonoquot remembers the plant teachings taught to her by her grandfather. Petonoquot has purposely created an image that will never be seen clearly, even when viewed through the 3D glasses. This is her commentary on the realities of ongoing colonialism, as well as on misconceptions by those who do not take the time to fully know or understand the lives and experience of Indigenous peoples in Canada. It is also a tease. My grandmother always told me, we like to make fun of ourselves and to not take ourselves too seriously. I think this was because humor and laughing help us foster understanding by making us think about and see the world in a new way.
This work brings together many elements seen in the artist's oeuvre. The fabric is reminiscent of Victorian furnishings, and the beaded crow is a reference to the natural world, as well as a symbol of her relationship with her stepfather. The surrounding teacups and saucers are a reminder of tea parties with grandmothers, while cedar is a medicine. As a method of storytelling and memory keeping, beading is a form of cultural resilience. In a similar vein, Petonoquot's work encourages people to talk about, think about, and look further into the history and ongoing experiences of Indigenous peoples in Canada.